Horse racing betting tips. Today I'm joined with Joe Norris, who provides daily horse racing predictions. And I want to try and dig a little bit deeper into it. Obviously, we've now launched the podcast series of UK Sports Betting Tips podcast. And I want to now ask you the question to Joe Norris. What are the most important factors, in your opinion, when you're looking to choose the horses?
Now, obviously, it's not an easy question because there are so many factors. Like we talk about it a lot, how many different factors there are. So we're going top four, you said.
Top four. Well, let's start naming quite a few of the different factors, and then at the end you can name in order your 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so I mean, we'd have to start with horse's form. So how the horse has been running recent starts. You got to look at the class of the horse, what grade it's been running at. How the race could pan out. So, the pace of the race, who's going to go forward. Is your horse going to lead? Is that going to suit? Is it going to be held up? If there's a lot of pace, it's going to come late. That's definitely a big factor. You got trainer and jockey form, which is some people see that more important than others. I can tell you, I do rank it fairly highly because, I remember at Cheltenham, Nicky Henderson was just completely out of form. It got to the point where he actually was withdrawing his horses from running at the Cheltenham Festival. So if you don't think that's a factor, Nicky Henderson does because he took his horses out, and I think Nicky Henderson's going to know more about that sort of thing than most punters. So I'd definitely rank that quite highly.
Just on that one,
Yeah,
I think that the trainer form is a lot more important than the jockey form.
yeah,
But also, I quite like looking at the trainer and jockey combination form as well. So specifically, when they book
yeah.
certain jockeys for certain trainers, you're going, okay.
You say that, but then I mean, this might be a bit stupid because I don't know the actual science exactly, so I'm just guessing a bit. But with the jockey, don't they say the horse can hear the jockey's heartbeat from something like, isn't it something like 6 meters away? It can hear it. It can hit, so it can basically, it can tell if the jockey is anxious getting on the horse,
Yeah.
that's going to unsettle the horse because his heart rate might be quicker.
I believe the jockey's a very, very, very important factor. I love who's going to be riding the horse, but jockey form, they could have been riding not the best horses. Do you know what I mean? Recently,
Yeah, yeah, that's the factor. But then you
or
look at, like, I know that we're talking about very rare scenarios, but like the Frankie Seven,
yeah,
he was just in that zone.
yeah,
Whatever horse he'd got on that day was going to win. Like the last horse was something like a 20-1 shot,
yeah.
and it goes off 2-1 because the bookie's liability, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's still got that to win. So, like, I know that's a very rare example, but for me, if I'm watching a meeting and someone that rides a double in the first two, straight away I look at what they're on for the rest of the meeting because that level of confidence is going to run through the rest of the card.
True, but then I'd want to be then going, okay, I need to look at the value because as long as I'm on
Yeah,
early enough to get the value, where normally if he's won the first couple of races, the
yeah,
10-1 shot's down at 4-1, and I've missed the value, and therefore
yeah,
I'm being, he's never a 4-1 chance. All right, he's won the first couple of races, but I'm
yeah.
not willing to take half the price because of that, because everyone else's roll up is going, and
Exactly. It definitely comes back to price. I mean, what you've got at the moment with Sean Bowen in the National Hunt, I just feel like his rides are just over bet because people just see his name. Like back in the day with AP McCoy,
yeah.
people would see his name on the horse and then back it. So you have to factor that in. Are you still getting the value even with him on board, sort of thing?
Do you ever look at anything on the form guides, like, let's say, wind surgery or blinkers for the first time or visor for the first time, or returning back after 300 days, or like anything like that? I'm presuming some of those factors kind of influence as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like with the wind ops, there was the old saying of, "Oh, second time out after a wind op." But when you actually look at the stats, I think it's the first time they run, which would make sense, wouldn't it? They've
Yeah.
had the operation and they can breathe, and then they perform better.
I
So
think the
you have to be
reason,
careful with it, I think, because
I think the reason why they say the second run back is normally the first run back. They get the confidence. This is what the mindset
Yeah,
behind it is. They
yeah,
get the confidence back and go, "Oh my god, wasn't as bad." Where previously they was having breathing problems. First run back, okay, they've improved, and then they go second run backs even better than the first one. That's the kind of
yeah.
for
But
me.
I think the stats actually show it is a bit of a myth,
Yeah.
or maybe not a myth, but it's not as impactful as people make out. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a few things. Yeah, like I don't really like seeing a tongue tie.
yeah,
I if I like a horse and then I read first time tongue tie, I think that's not ideal because they're almost trying to solve something that we as punters didn't realise was there.
yeah,
I mean, this is quite interesting. We could probably do a whole podcast on this sort of stuff because with the wind ups, I spoke to someone the other day and they said a lot of trainers don't even record them. I know it's actually I think the BHA have made it they have to report them now. I mean that came in about 6-7 years ago, I think.
yeah,
But apparently some trainers don't even report them anyway, even now.
yeah.
So it's still a bit of a guessing game with it. I wouldn't let it like with a wind up, I wouldn't let it put me off or make me back a horse more, personally.
Yeah. See, do you know, like for us, we own a few different race horses, and do you know what another big one is for settling certain horses? Cheek pieces. Now, believe it
Yeah.
or not, like it kind of helps them focus and stuff like that, and it does actually make a big difference. I'm not saying it's definitely not in my top four,
No. I
but
mean,
it can make a difference to the way the horse runs.
I see. I don't like seeing a horse in cheek pieces, but then it depends because if it's a low grade race on the all weather and they put them on, and I think that horse is going to go forward and try and make all, then I like it. But
Yeah,
a lot of the time, it puts me off when I see it on in jumps racing. I'd rather just not bet in that race when I see like first time cheek pieces. I know some people love it. They love like first time visor. They're going to be sharper. But personally, I feel like that's an ungenuine horse. It's not putting it all in, and it needs the cheek pieces or the visor to put it all in. And I think why am I backing a horse that's not putting it all in?
that's true. But the only thing I'd say, the only caveat to this, right, is that's sometimes where you can get value in the betting market because it's
Mm.
been running absolutely terrible. It's a 33 to 1 shot. It's
Yeah,
now got the
yeah,
visor on. And if the visor did help that horse that wasn't putting it in and started to put it in, then at 33 to 1, you go in, now there's value in the market, if that makes sense. But yeah, I
yeah. No, do you know what? You're spot on because when I'm thinking of it more of a horse that's towards the top of the market,
yeah,
like a second or third favourite. I'm looking at the profile and I like it, and then I see first time cheap pieces, and it's like an alarm in my head. I'm like, do I want to be taking 4-1 about a horse? Like you said, that's obviously a much better way of going about it. If they're 20-1 or more,
yeah.
and they've reached for them, then yeah, you can take a punt on it. But I think when they're towards the head of the market, I'd sort of try and steer clear of it.
I completely agree on that when it's towards the head of the market. But when they're the outsiders, sometimes I'm trying to find, like, let's say the recent form of the horse, like, is a big factor.
Yeah,
However, if they're in form, they're going to be towards the head of the market. If you're trying to find someone that is a big price, you almost want them to be out of form, but you're thinking at this time
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or back on this course, because I also think horses for courses, back
yeah,
on a specific course that they like, okay, I think he's overpriced, now he's worth an each way shout on that. So it's just trying
yeah.
to find the,
We should have mentioned that probably first. Horses for courses, to be fair.
yeah. So let's get back to it. Horse racing tips. Joe Norris provides daily horse racing tips. I now want an order, and I know you're saying it's difficult, but I want to make these podcast episodes difficult for you. I want a 1, 2, 3, 4 in order. And I know it's hard to say, and I know there's a lot of differentiating factors, but what's your 1, 2, 3, 4 in order of what influences you the most when you're doing your horse racing tips?
Number one has got to be value
Yeah.
because whatever factors we're going to mention, I think it all comes back to the price of the horse. Like we've just said about the cheap pieces, it all depends on the price of the horse. If you know, you could have 10 factors, and this horse ticks 9 of them, but then you check the price and it's shocking, heavily odds on. You have to then weigh up, is that price the right price? Am I getting any advantage from that price? So that, I think, without a doubt, and I don't even think that's up for debate. I think value is number one.
I 100% agree with you that value in the
Yeah.
price should be number one.
Yeah. Number two. Now, this is tough. I would probably just about go with ground conditions because I do think it's absolutely massive. If you've got a horse that's a mud lover and there's been a lot of rain and the ground is perfect, I could back a horse that has been running terrible all season, but then gets his conditions. That would not put me off, So I think ground, I would even have that above track, like you said, horses for courses. So ground number 2 for me.
Yeah, I possibly agree. I do agree. I think it potentially is the second best factor. I think these next ones are all
You could have any, yeah.
almost equal to each other, like I'd say. But yeah, I think ground's very, very important. Yeah. What's number 3?
So number 3, I mean, I think your number 3 will be courses, but I'm gonna go with or what would you say, pace or run style, or basically how you think the race is going to work out. So who you think is going to go forward? Are you backing a hold up performer? Are you backing a horse that goes forward? I know Johnny Deneen, who does the show with Dave Jennings, Up in the Ante. He always says he hates backing a horse that's held up out the back of the TV because he feels like almost like when you buy a new car, you lose its value as soon as you drive it off. That's what he's saying. You're backing a horse, you're losing the value in the price because it's held up last. I disagree with that a bit because if there's a lot of if the race is going to work out right for you, then sometimes it's good to be at the back. If they're going too hard, that's where you want to be. So, but I do get what he's saying. Like a lot of the times, these jockeys can give them too much to do, and it's one of the most frustrating things to watch. Like sometimes over jumps, especially, you can see like a mile out that you've got too much ground to make up. Like the jockey's sitting motionless, and you're just thinking, "What are you doing? Get it in the mix, get it competitive before the race is over."
Yeah.
So I think that would have to be my number 3.
I see. For me, I'd go courses, and the only reason I'd say courses is because a good horse can adapt to specific conditions. Now, I get when you're saying it's held up, but I think that being held up, no matter how good you are, if you're held up at the back at Chester, right, and they've kicked around that bend, it's so difficult. Even if you're the best horse in the race, it's so difficult to peg them back.
Yeah, but you're backing up my reasoning there, aren't you? By saying how the race is run. If you're held up at Chester,
but there's no debate on how the race is run. You have to be towards the front.
Yeah.
Where I think at Cheltenham, depending on how the race is run, if you're the best horse in the race, even if it's a slowly run race or not, you can then kick for going down the hill, coming towards the lash. You can go for it, or you can hold on.
So you think like the best horse? Oh no, sorry, you're arguing that the track is the key, aren't you?
I'm arguing the track is slightly more important.
Yeah, so I'm almost saying the best horse can still win.
No, can't win. You're saying?
Sorry, can't win. Yeah,
can't win.
Yeah.
I'm saying the best horse can if they've got a good jockey on it, no matter how the race is ran, a good jockey can still make the best horse in the race win.
Matt Chapman said that before. I remember him saying that.
So at that point, you've just then not got to be.
Well, but then, all right. So what about when they say, "Oh, the jockey nicked it. He nicked it off the front. He stole it."
That's great. That's great from the jockey that has nicked it. But normally they can only nick it when it's a tight turning track. I don't think a horse really goes and nicks it. I think it's bad. As good as it can be a great front running kind of episode from them. I also think the jockeys behind shouldn't have let him kick on so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think there's got to be a bit of a balance both ends. Do you say that's great jockeyship for the one that's won and nicked the race, or is it bad from the others allowing him to kick on so far?
Yeah,
it's one of them kind of debates, but there's always going to be outliers. And to be fair, mate, like both of these factors are really important. If I'm being honest with you.
Well, they actually link into each other.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Like we're saying.
So what is your number 4? Is your number 4 course then?
4 is really tough, I think, because I can't imagine having the top four and not having course in it. So I would have to say it probably would be that.
If you couldn't choose course, then what would it be?
If it wasn't course, I think it would be trainer form.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of debate over it. Some people say, you know, it each horse is different, isn't it? It's just, it depends on the horse. But for me, if a trainer's 0 from 20,
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're having a real quiet spell.
Plus, there could be something wrong, let's say, infections or something like that. And
Yeah.
not even realising it's only now they start realising. So I think
Yeah.
trainer form is sometimes when you get an odds-on shot and the trainer's not in good form, I'm thinking to myself, "Hold on a minute, there could be a bad batch of A here or something like that where they've got some
Yeah.
infections in the actual thing and
But
scoping badly and stuff."
that's it. Again, it all links into different factors, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
I was watching Plumpton the other day, and Nick Gifford had a winner, and he'd had something like 6 winners from his last 12 or something. And he got interviewed and by I think it was Luke Harvey, and he said like, "What are you doing different with your horses?" And he said, "I'm not doing anything different." He said, basically they were just badly handicapped last season. And because they were badly handicapped, they're now well handicapped because they obviously were all getting beat. So like a lot of the factors link back in, don't they? But that's why I think trainer form is important because it has a lot of the other factors linking to it. And like we said, we've seen it at Cheltenham with Nicky Henderson having no winners and actually withdrawing his horses from the race. So I mean, that tells you it is definitely a significant thing.
Yeah, for sure. So everyone who's watching this, I hope you like the episode. If you want to hear more episodes like this, make certain you go over to UK Sports Betting Tips podcast. It's been kind of broadcasted on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, or you can watch it, the video format, on YouTube as well. If you want more daily horse racing tips from Joe Norris, you can go over to joenorristips.co.uk, or he's very active on Twitter as well. So I hope you like the episode of how Joe Norris, what influences him the most when he's doing his horse racing predictions.